Education in Nigeria is overseen by the Ministry of Education, and the local authorities take responsibility for implementing policy for state-controlled public education and state schools at a regional level. The education system is divided into kindergarten, primary education, secondary education and tertiary education. Primary education, Yoruba, and Igbo. Private schools would also offer computer science, French, and fine arts. Primary school students are required to take a common entrance examination to qualify for admission into the federal and state government secondary schools, as well as private ones. The Universal Basic Education, UBE, came as a replacement of the universal primary education and an innovation to enhance the success of the first 9 years of schooling. The UBE involves 6 years of primary school education and 3 years of junior secondary school education, culminating in 9 years of uninterrupted schooling, and transition from one class to another is automatic but determined through continuous assessment. This scheme is monitored by the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, and has made it free, compulsory, and a right of every child. Therefore, the UBEC Law Section 15 defines UBE as early childhood care and education. The law stipulates a 9-year formal schooling, adult literacy and non-formal education, skill acquisition programs and the education of special groups such as nomads and migrants, girl child and women, al-Majiri, street children and disabled people. Secondary education. Students spend 6 years in secondary school, that is 3 years of JSS, and 3 years of SSS. By senior secondary school class 2, students are taking the GCEO Euro unregistered trademark levels exam, which is not mandatory, but most students take it to prepare for the senior secondary certificate examination. The senior secondary school ends on the wash. Junior secondary school is free and compulsory. It leads to the BECE, which opens the gate to senior secondary school. SSS curriculum is based on 6 core subjects completed by 2 or 3 elective subjects. Core subjects are, English, Mathematics, 1 major Nigerian language, 1 elective out of biology, chemistry, physics or integrated science, 1 elective out of English literature, history, geography or social studies, agricultural science or a vocational subject. Students can also join, after the BECE, a technical college. The curriculum also lasts 3 years and leads to a trade craftsmanship certificate. The Federal Republic of Nigeria is made up of 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. There are about 2 federal government colleges in each state. These schools are funded and managed directly by the federal government through the Ministry of Education. Teachers and staff are federal government employees. Teachers at the federal government schools possess a bachelor's degree in education or in a particular subject area, such as mathematics, physics etc. These schools are supposed to be model schools carrying and maintaining the ideals of secondary education for Nigerian students. Admission is based on merit, determined by the National Common Entrance Examination taken by all final-year elementary school pupils. Tuition and fees are very low, approximately 16,000 naira, because funding comes from the federal government. State-owned secondary schools are funded by each state government and are not comparable to the federal government colleges. Although education is supposed to be free in the majority of the state-owned institutions, students are required to purchase books, uniforms and pay for miscellaneous things costing them an average of 30,000 naira in an academic year. Teachers in state-owned institutions usually have a national certificate of education or a bachelor's degree, but this is not always the case as many secondary schools in Nigeria are filled with unqualified teachers who end up not being able to motivate the students. Often these schools are understaffed due to low state budgets, lack of incentives and irregularities in payment of staff salaries. Some state-owned secondary schools are regarded as elite colleges because of the historically high educational standard in producing alumni who have prominent citizens in the various careers. These included King's College, Lagos and Queen's College, Lagos. However, The college ranking of these institutions have since dropped because of the arrival of some private institutions. Private secondary schools in Nigeria tend to be quite expensive, with average annual fees averaging from 160 to 320,000 naira, $1,000–$2,000. These schools have smaller classes, modern equipment and a better environment. Most teachers in these institutions possess at least a bachelor's degree in a specific course area and are sent for workshops or short-term programs on a regular basis. Promotional examinations. With the introduction of 6-3-3-4 system of education in Nigeria, the recipient of the education would spend 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior secondary school, 3 years in senior secondary school, and 4 years in tertiary institution. The 6 years spent in primary school and the 3 years spent in junior secondary school are merged to form the 9 in the 9-3-4 system. Altogether, the students must spend a minimum period of 6 years in secondary school. During this period, students are expected to spend 3 years in junior secondary school and 3 years in senior secondary school. The General Certificate of Education examination was replaced by the Senior Secondary Certificate examination. The SSCE is conducted at the end of the secondary school studies in May-June. The GCE is conducted in October-November as a supplement for those students who did not get the required credits from their SSCE results. The standards of the two examinations are basically the same. A body called West African Examination Council conducts both the SSCE and GCE. A maximum of 9 and a minimum of 7 subjects are registered for the examination by each student, with mathematics and English language taking as compulsory. A maximum of 9 grades are assigned to each subject from A1, B2, B3, C4, C5, C6, D7, E8, F9. Credit grades and above is considered academically adequate for entry into any university in Nigeria. In some study programs, many of the universities may require higher grades to get admission. The federal government policy on education is adhered to by all secondary schools in Nigeria. 6 years of elementary school is followed by 6 years of secondary school. Senior secondary school consists of the SSI, SS2, and SS3, which is equivalent to the 10th, 11th and 12th grade. The senior secondary school examination is taken at the end of the SS3. The West African Examination Council administers both exams. 3 to 6 months after a student has taken the SSCE examination, they are issued an official transcript from their institution. This transcript is valid for 1 year, after which an official transcript from the West African Examination Council is issued. National Examination Council is another examination body in Nigeria. Senior secondary school examination in June-July. The body also administers General Certificate of Education examination in December-January. The students often take both WAEC and NECO examinations in SSS3. Tertiary education. The government has majority control of university education. The country has a total number of 128 universities registered by NUC, among which federal and state government own 40 and 38 respectively, while 50 universities are privately owned. First-year entry requirements into most universities in Nigeria include minimum of SSCE GCE ordinary level credits at maximum of 2 sittings. Minimum cut-off marks in joint admission and matriculation board entrance examination of 180 and above out of a maximum of 400 marks are required. Candidates with minimum of merit pass in National Certificate of Education, National Diploma and other advanced level certificates. Minimum qualifications with minimum of 5 OL credits are given direct entry admission into the appropriate undergraduate degree programs. Students normally enter university from age 18 onwards, and study for an academic degree. Historically, universities are divided into several tiers. First-generation universities. 5 of these universities were established between 1948 and 1965, following the recommendation of the Ashby Commission set up by the British colonial government to study the necessity of university education for Nigeria. These universities are fully funded by the federal government. They were established primarily to meet a need for qualified personnel in Nigeria and to set basic standards for university education. These universities have continued to play their roles for the production of qualified personnel and the provision of standards, which have helped to guide the subsequent establishments of other generations of universities in Nigeria. Universities in this tier include the University of Nigeria, NSUKKA, and the University of Ibadan. Second-generation universities, with the increasing population of qualified students for university education in Nigeria and the growing needs for scientific and technological developments, setting up more universities became imperative. Between 1970 and 1985, 12 additional universities were established and located in various parts of the country. Third-generation universities, the need to establish universities to address special areas of technological and agricultural demand prompted the setting up of 10 additional universities between 1985 and 1999. State universities, pressures from qualified students from each state who could not readily get admissions to any of the federal universities continued to mount on states' governments. It became imperative and urgent for some state governments to invest in the establishment of universities. Private universities, in recognition of the need to encourage private participation in the provision of university education, the federal government established a law in 1993, allowing private sectors to establish universities following guidelines prescribed by the government. The typical duration of undergraduate programs in Nigerian universities depends largely on the program of study. For example, social sciences humanity-related courses are 4 years, engineering technology-related courses are 5 years, pharmacy courses are 5 years, and law courses are 5 years, each with 2 semester sessions per year. Medicine degrees take 6 years and have longer sessions during the year. Women in education. Education has been recognized as a basic human right since the 1948 adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. A positive correlation exists between the enrollment of girls in primary school and the gross national product and life expectancy. Because of this correlation, enrollment in schools represents the largest component of societal investment into human capital. Rapid socio-economic development of a nation has been observed to depend on the caliber of women and their education in that country. Education bestows on women a disposition for a lifelong acquisition of knowledge, values, attitudes, competence and skills. See also, List of Nigerian universities, List of polytechnics in Nigeria, Schools in Nigeria, References. External links, Ministry of Education, Nigeria, World Data on Education, Nigeria, UNESCO IBE, 2010-2011, Overview of the Nigerian Education System, Vocational Education in Nigeria, UNESCO UNIVOC, 2012. Overview of the Nigerian Technical and Vocational Education System, Trend in Online Schooling in Nigeria,